was paid in July 21. The second debt payment of $21.8 million will be paid in December. Fiscal 22 net pension payment for the city of Buffalo will be paid in December at $51 million. And a state aid payment for fiscal 22 in the amount of $19.1 million is projected to be received in this month as well. If there are any questions, happy to take them at this time. The Deputy Comptroller should be on as well, and we've also been joined by Kevin Kaufman and Greg Zemansky from the Department of Audit and Control as well.
Okay. Any questions, colleagues?
Just a question on the tax receipts for the city. They're down from last year. What do you attribute that to? Is it because, I mean, is there a reason for that? I don't know if Donna can answer that, or
I think he said down from last month.
oh, from last month.
Last month, because
Was it
we collect the tax receipts are due in July and December. So they kind of start high in July, go, you know, kind of whittle off. Come December again, they start high and whittle off again.
Okay, so that's just normal then.
Yeah.
That's, okay.
Any other questions?
All right. Sorry. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
As Comptroller, sorry. As Commissioner Estrich just stated, the bulk of the property tax do come in the beginning of our fiscal year in July, and then also in the middle of the fiscal year, which is December. It's dwindling down, but as you guys can look at prior years, you can see how the property tax do come in throughout the year, but the bulk of it will come in the first year of the month, and then the 6th year of the month. And as we stated in the past, this report really is just to monitor the city's cash activity, the disbursements, and the receipts for the month. And I know Malcolm did read off some of, for the most part, most of the bullets that we did have on November's cash flow report. But one thing we definitely want to keep account for and watch out for is that we do have our first state aid payment, expecting to receive it. And this month, in the month of December, around 19.2 million. So be on the lookout for that. Also, we're just keeping track of the tribal compact. We know that's a sore subject, but we're just watching to see if we get any type of movement. And as we stated in the beginning, we did put that at the end of the fiscal year. So at least for this fiscal year, we'll have until June 2022, hopefully, to account for some tribal compact money. So we look at service charges. You can see service charges came in lower than expected for the month of up year date, less than almost like 396,000. I believe fines came a little under also. And the last thing is the ending cash balance, as Malcolm stated, of 65.1 million. I think we're much better off at this point this year than where we at last year. But we will continue to have to monitor and watch the cash activity as we're doing, and also as what the administration is doing.
And the commissioner was correct on the assumption of how I reported those numbers. I gave variances for context of not just what it was a year ago, but last month as well.
You finished, Majority Leader? You have any other questions?
Yeah, on the tribal compact money, any new word on where that is?
With the federal government right now reviewing the agreement, so we do not know the status of it. As of, you know, right now, there's been no decision.
Okay.
And that's something that we'll include on our report, just as a reminder. We understand that everyone's working behind the scenes to get it resolved, but we'll continue to note some of the questions that we might have in regards to the city's cash activity.
I do think it's important to state also that, you know, I know you've been looking at this for monthly, that there is not a negative month on this cash flow projection currently or going forward.
Yes, ma'am. Normally, and as every council member know on this call, we normally, I believe, Commissioner, correct me if I'm wrong, in the month of December, and I want to say March, we normally go into the negative. As far as what we're projecting on the cash flow report for this fiscal year, we don't show the city going into a negative cash flow. But as we're saying, Commissioner just said, we'll monitor it throughout the year. We'll keep this group and everyone else informed throughout the year.
So we're anticipating for December 37 million as far as the tax levy. And now, is that higher than last year?
Far as what the, I'm sorry, I don't have my report in front of me. As far as the cash,
Yeah, you're projecting 37 million. And I'm asking, is that higher or lower than last year at this time, December?
if you give me a minute, I can go check on my computer.
Okay,
As far as where we were at, as far as cash at the end of November 2020. I'm pretty sure we're much higher now than where we were, but
okay.
I could get, I'll get,
Just can you get that for me, please? That's all. I'm okay for right now.
Okay.
And there's a $10 million item. Is that federal? Is that the federal stimulus or is that tribal compact?
That's a federal stimulus, and that's part of what Commissioner was just speaking on, where the administration did budget, I think, to use 50 million, and we kind of broke that 50 million out to when they're going to actually use it. Throughout
Okay, so we're using 10 of the 50.
Right. If you read all the way to the right, you'll see it should come out to around 50 million, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. And also, what's the 24? You got 2 million. It's miscellaneous. It says grant reimbursement.
And normally, what we put in that account, I had it written down right where you see like service charge, like grant reimbursement, sale of property, and other miscellaneous costs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more like as you can see, any grant reimbursements that we might receive from any grants that the city did or receive, where we incurred the cost up front, and then we got reimbursed by the grantor.
Okay.
Like sell a property.
So that's just okay. I got you. And so we got our big payouts in December as far as our pension and those things.
Yeah, that's the huge munch, and that's what we've been trying to say over whatever period of time is that if you look in the month of December, you'll see a pension payment go out, and we have a debt payment that goes out, which true up a lot of the cash activity for the city each year.
And what is the debt payment? What's the total amount of the debt that we have outstanding that we're paying on?
What's owed?
Yeah.
I could probably answer that. This is Greg.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Greg. Oh, I know you was on here, Greg. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so if you look at the bottom of the column, you'll see 21 million for the city of Buffalo and 2 million for the Board of Ed.
Mhm.
So what happens in this month is the first tax receipts in have to go to the debt service fund. So that's kind of what's happening now from the beginning of December until that total amount is collected. And then, once that total amount is reached, we'll use that money plus any other resources that have been, as far as interest or anything else that's built up in the debt service fund. And that money will be transferred to the trustee in January, and then throughout the second half, those payments will be made by the trustee, the debt service payments.
So both of those items are for the debt service fund, from the debt service fund?
Yeah, so that's the money that will be leaving the general fund and going to the debt service fund.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Any questions, colleagues?
Motion to table?
Motion to table, seconded by Councilmember Bowman. Next item.
Item number 2, council update regarding City of Buffalo's American Rescue Plan Act spending plan.
Items open?
And we have Commissioner Estrich speak on that. Commissioner, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have Jessica Brown, the Director of Administration and Finance, speak on this. She's been heading the American Rescue Plan for us.
Okay.
Good
Jessica,
morning.
you got it. Director.
This report is just to update council on the ARP projects. We plan to submit this every time we want to submit an ARP item for approval, and also quarterly to align with the federal reporting requirements. As you can see from the report, several projects have gotten off the ground. The Mayor Summer Youth Internship Program expansion was in summer of 2021. Our inspectors are currently working under the Healthy Homes Inspections Program. We purchased 205 self-contained breathing apparatuses for the fire department, and MIS is currently purchasing software for cybersecurity measures. There's also several projects that are in the planning process, moving towards implementation. And we plan to submit a few contracts for the next council meeting. And in addition to the update, we also are submitting a request for approval of an amendment to the spending plan. New York State just instituted a new mandate that requires the fire department to upgrade their patient care report equipment and software. And this amendment would allow us to add $300,000 to the spending plan for this purchase. Previously, the council approved $600,000 for the self-contained breathing apparatuses, and we are able to save about $95,000 of that, and the remaining funds would come from non-categorized ARP funds. And I didn't go through the entire update, but if you have any specific questions, please let me know.
Questions, colleagues?
Yeah.
Councilmember
Thank you.
Rivera.
Thank you very much. On the spending plan, we have not heard much in terms of how you come to the decisions, the priorities of what goes first. So when are we going to know more or less? Because I know there were a lot of requests, and we're trying to figure out where in the order of priorities some of those requests lie. So when are we going to be able to discuss the council's priorities as well? Because I know council members have certain priorities that we had requested, and we want to see where they fall in the order of the plans that you're working on.
Right, that's a good question. So we've been currently meeting weekly with the internal team to talk about basically all 26 projects. It's a lot to talk, a lot to get through, and we want to create a timeline where we're planning implementation and, ending, and when that's going to happen between now and 2024, when the funds have to be obligated, and then we actually have to spend the funds by 2026. So that's what we're doing right now. It's just taking some time just because there's so many. And even within each project, there's more projects within the project. So instead of giving you an incomplete list, what we want to do is have an entire timeline ready with all projects laid out that we can provide you. So we should have that ready, I would say, by early next year.
But you're going to be presenting things to us. Well, that's good. It's early next year. So that
Yeah,
is good. But you are going to be presenting things to us in the near future.
correct. And part of the stimulus money is obviously meant to be spent. So there are some quote low hanging fruit that we can get out the door now. So that's kind of what we're presenting to you now, is things we're moving along that align with council, the spending plan, and the administration. And then other more detailed pieces we're still working on that we will present to you later.
All right. Well, that'd be great as far as getting an idea in the near future, the order of priorities, so we
Okay.
can then talk to many of the organizations that are calling us to find out where they stand in the American Rescue Plan in terms of time frame. So that'd be great if you can give us that information. We can work together. I'd certainly like to work together on the planning part of it, because many times we don't know until you've already decided what order they rank in, and sometimes we as council members hear from our constituents, and certainly want to make sure that they have some understanding as to where they are in terms of time frame and order and priority. So yeah, if we could work together on that, that'd be great. Thank you.
We definitely want to work together. And our first report to the federal government is due the end of January. So by then we should have a really good idea of where we stand with all the big projects.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jessica, that was kind of my question. You touched on it with the report that's to the federal government on the January 31st. What's included in that? Intensive is that report, or how locked in are you into those projects point as far as like what you put on that spreadsheet? Are those projects you have to move forward with essentially?
So the report will somewhat mirror the spending plan that you approved. It won't be as long, but it will almost take the projects that you approved and update them to the federal government. And then the budget piece will be how much we've obligated to date, and then how much we spent to date as of December 31st. And they'll also give us an opportunity to give them updates that maybe aren't showing fiscally, but have just been programmatic.
Okay. It also says like the quarterly reporting updates will follow the federal timelines. cetera, per the U.S. Department of Treasury. What is that? Just like a quarterly update you give us, or?
Yes, so, yes, as part of the spending plan approval joint resolution, we'll provide you with our quarterly reports we provide to the federal government. The first one was actually supposed to be due for the last quarter, but they extended the deadline until January. That's why you haven't seen one yet. But going forward after January, you'll get them quarterly. Then there's an annual update also that you'll be getting, but the quarterly one's more a fiscal piece.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner?
Oh, I just wanted to mention the concern about the council and involvement and people reaching out to you, that, you know, some of the programs we're looking at will be sending out RFPs also. So at that time, you know, you'll also be aware and be part of that. So everybody will be aware of what's going on and what requests we're making.
Okay, because I noticed that this report, and let me just commend you, the report, I like the format of it, and I appreciate the information. The only thing I would ask Jessica is we could add where we budgeted for each one of those categories on what we budgeted. That would be the only thing, but I like.
Sure,
the format.
definitely.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
But going to Councilmember Rivera's point, as far as the projects for the council, do we need to have a liaison? And that would be something Council President would have to get involved in to work with you on that, just so that the council's activities are monitored and supported and given and working with you closely on those items. Do we need to have a liaison or something?
A liaison with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna hand us a liaison, that'd be great.
And
We actually have
because
some upcoming programming, more like having public meetings that we would really like the council input on also. So
Okay.
yes, please do.
So I'm since the council president is on, I don't want to overstep my bounds. I just thought that would be a good idea, because we do want to make certain that our projects, we make it aware of our projects and where they are as far as their priority, as Councilmember Rivera stated. Council President?
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous idea. I think it keeps everybody on one page, in that way, even the public engagement portion, if we can get advance notice of those meetings, it would help. But we can appoint a liaison with no problem.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions, colleagues, on this? Okay, motion to table.
Motion to table.
Seconded by Councilmember Wingo. Next
Item number 3, first quarter gap.
Items open.
And this item is open and.
I
Okay,
can speak to it.
Okay, Commissioner?
First quarter, you know, we're usually very conservative on where we are because, you know, startup of the year, of course. As Deputy Controller mentioned, our sales tax is coming in very strong right now. So we did include approximately a $5 million over budget on our sales tax for this year, and it may grow, but you know, we don't know where it's going right now. It's been very strong. Right now, we're almost probably 20% above prior year at the same time. So, but I don't want to be overly confident of that. So I put a $5 million in there right now. So that's the big positive with, pardon?
Do you know what that is attributed to? I mean, that's impressive that the sales tax is that strong.
I looked at the prior years and it's very amazing.
Yeah.
It just continues to grow. We were at like 86, 87, 97. It continues to grow. So I don't want to jinx it.
No, keep going.
What else did we have? We are postponing the in-rem for this year. So we had, I think, 3.75 in there for the in-rem. So right now that's out of the projection also. We've removed that. Parking fees and fines, now that we're back to the 9 to 4s, and bus routes, that's picked up a little. We'll still be a little bit under budget. When you look at the report from last year, you see we're about 7 million under from prior years. So I don't think we'll be back to where we were for parking, but we'll improve it a little bit on that.
So just to go back to the in-rem, you said we're not going to have it this year, but you mean for the fiscal year, correct?
Correct.
Initially,
Initially, we had talked about perhaps we do it in the springtime, you know,
right.
we always do it in October. So right now we're not doing it.
Okay,
in the
so we-
springtime. They're deciding if it's gonna be pushed to October of 22. I mean, it's still being discussed with all the
Okay.
moratoriums going on, so.
So you're not, so we're saying that we're not gonna have it this fiscal year. So,
Correct.
but you think so there is no possibility we're gonna have it this fiscal year. It's next fiscal year that we're gonna be talking about, correct?
We'll start that discussion, yes, if
Okay.
we'll have it next year or not.
Okay, I just wanted to
And
make
if
it
we don't
clear.
have it in October, we may have it in the spring of 23, or it may get pushed to the fall of 23.
I just wanted to make it clear for folks who are watching this so that they know that we're not gonna have interim for this fiscal year, and our fiscal year ends June 30th. So just to make sure
Correct.
it's clear. Thank you.
Right, right. And then we have some savings in personnel year to date. Probably about $1.5 million. And we had other savings, we're looking at our healthcare. We had put some money in there with the anticipation that some of the medical services would pick up, after COVID, but now that we're back into COVID again, some of those services might not happen because the hospitals are keeping the operations and things down to a minimum. So we may have some savings in our self-insured healthcare also there. And we also have savings in the workers' comp line right now. So we're looking at approximately, as of right now, maybe an $8 million surplus, and that's using the $50 million of the federal funds.
But we've only used 10 million of that, right, for the money thus far, correct? Or is that incorrect? Of the 50
I
million.
think, I'm not sure when he put it in. He had put it in for December.
Yeah, we put it in for December for around $10 million. So as of today, or as of the end of this, as of November 30th, 2021, we have not used any of the budgeted $50 million federal stimulus.
Okay.
And they wouldn't move that in until we did need it.
Right.
Okay.
And like we said, this is just a projection of when we anticipate to use it. And one more quick thing is that the Comptroller, Barbara Miller Williams, she will have her first quarter gap response will follow with this council this week, Thursday, by 2 p.m.
Commissioner, where are we as far as overtime for police and fire? I saw the numbers that, of course, we're within budget at this point, but as far as those numbers, where are we with those?
Overall, we're looking pretty good.
We always at the beginning.
We're still working with our projection for fire. We looked at it, Jessica and I were looking at it yesterday, and we've reached out to both the commissioners and see what they're doing about it.
Okay.
So they are increased from last year.
I'm going to be asking you about that regularly. I just want to let you know, because we know that that's the number that really we have to do a better job in managing, because that really takes a lot of our dollars.
Yes, a lot of our resources, a lot of our, right.
Yeah,
I agree.
So, you wrote, and colleagues, any questions? You wrote in your summary regarding the franchise fee for permits and inspections. What is that specifically?
That's through the AMR ambulance service.
Uh-huh.
The prior contract had a payment to the city. So the contract has expired. They've done an RFP. They're in the process of contract negotiation, and that franchise fee is not part of the new contract.
Okay. So we're not going to, they're not going to be being charged a franchise fee?
That is correct. So Commissioner Ronaldo has a list of other activities that they're going to do more for the city overall and for employees to offset that franchise fee.
Okay. What was that number? What was the franchise?
It was around 440,000, 445,000.
Oh, okay.
So it's a sizable one, but.
Yeah. Okay, colleagues.
And we
any
can get you the
questions?
list of what they were going to do in lieu of that.
Okay. So you're going to provide that, or is the commissioner going to provide us that?
I'll reach out to the commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, any questions? Okay, motion to table,
Motion to table.
seconded by Councilmember Bowman. Next item.
Number 4, request approval of American Rescue Plan Act spending plan budget amendment for patient care report.
Items open.
Okay, this item is open and Jessica had already spoke about this item. Any questions, colleagues? If there's no questions, motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
seconded by Councilmember Wingo.
Can I make a comment on this?
You sure can. Commissioner.
With these computers and updates, the AMR is, and one of the things they are doing, they're providing the software for this also in the interaction between the ambulance service and our trucks. So that is one of the items I know they're providing at no charge.
What is the cost of the software? Do you know that?
You know, Jessica?
About
much is it?
$30,000,
How much?
about
Oh,
30,000.
okay, okay. We'll see if that trade-off is fair.
There's other things.
Okay, motion stands. Next item.
You're on mute.
No, the next item, no, Majority Leader, next item.
Item number
next-
5, approving an amendment to 1992 financing agreement among City of Buffalo, Buffalo Water Board, and Buffalo Municipal Water Finance Authority.
Items open.
Commissioner Estridge will speak on this.
Sure. So the water board had come up with a list of projects that they feel is important to keep for the safety of our water. And so we're doing bonding for that of approximately $13 million. And then we're doing some refunding also for better interest rates and lower cost of prior funds that have come up. So this is an agreement or approval of an agreement between the water board, the water authority, and the city. And that is to bond these new capital projects. So the water authority had a public hearing yesterday. Councilmember Wyatt was on there. It was a good 10 minutes. So the water authority approved the capital projects yesterday. The water board is going to approve hopefully next week, and council hopefully will approve next week, and then we will go to market next week on these projects. The refunding will save us approximately, I think the number is about $1.9 million with the refunding coming through.
And I believe we have Bill Jackson is on from.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Bill, can you just state your name if you have any other additional comments?
Sure. Hi, this is Bill Jackson. We're bond counsel. We had worked with Donna and the authority to, draft this amendment. This amendment is similar to the amendment that was enacted by the council in 2019 when various projects were added to the capital improvement plan. The law states that in order for the authority to issue bonds to finance capital projects related to the water system, the amendment is required between the city, the water board, and the authority before the authority can proceed with the bond sale. The bond sale is currently scheduled for next week, following approval, hopefully, of the city council and the water board.
So colleagues, any questions? Councilmember Bowman.
Someone just describe the capital projects to be done a little bit.
Can you do that, Bill or Donna? Describing the capital project.
If everybody want me to do it, Bill, I have the list.
Sure, that's fine.
The first one is the filter plant clear wall optimization for approximately $500,000. And this is an inspection and hydraulic modeling of the clear wall for the finished water, for the flow of finished water. I don't know, Billy, maybe you can simplify these.
Yeah, usually Peter is handles the kind of the technical questions, but they're all general improvements relating to the overall operation of the water system. The list of projects was developed in connection with the city's consulting engineer, GHD, who did a full assessment of the needs of the water system and developed the list of projects.
The majority of them are right at Colonel Ward, improvements at Colonel Ward. And then there's some pumping ones at the Massachusetts Avenue Pump Station and the Kensington Tank throughout the city and Grover Cleveland. So there's some tanks throughout the city that are being maintained and improved also.
Thank you very much.
Does any of this have anything to do with lead? Is there anything to do with lead abatement or anything?
I don't believe as part of this, in addition to the bonds that are being issued, the city, the water system is using available surpluses and funds to make other capital improvements. And I believe they're also using some of the federal stimulus money to supplement the bonding. So, excuse me, the bonding only represents a portion of the financing that's being put in place to do various system-wide improvements.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, colleagues? Okay, so the motion on this should be if Corporation Counsel available. Should we be approving?
We will need an approval on this.
Okay,
This is, okay,
Nope, sorry, Karen.
okay,
no problem here. You answered faster than I could have unmute myself.
okay. Motion to
Motion
approve,
to approve.
seconded by Councilmember Bowman.
Item number 6, research and plan to upgrade city vehicles to electric.
Items open.
Okay, I think this is Council President, you wanted to table this or you want to speak on it?
I'm sorry, I didn't know I wasn't on mute. It can be tabled. It's actually just basically asking when when a vehicle is being purchased that we find out why, if we're not purchasing an electric vehicle, why that is. I think that is very important to start moving toward talking about the purchase of electric vehicles, especially in light of the fact that the NFTA recently, I think just yesterday, announced new buses coming that are electric. So we really want to start moving in that vein. We know that we have heard from, Commissioner Finn about how difficult it would be, for instance, for snow plows and those type of things. But I think that other vehicles, street sweepers, take-home vehicles that are not emergency vehicles are so important to start moving toward an electric model. So if we could table it just so that it's on the table and we start to get that. Just wanted to know if that would be something that would be difficult. I don't know if anybody else is on from the administration, because I really don't want to ask for something that we're never going to get. And I know I don't want to put it on Donna, but I just wonder if that would be difficult.
We did speak about it when we, I think you approved earlier in the year, you approved a couple of pickup trucks for Public Works. And we did look into before that, the cost of electric pickup trucks and just the cost to purchase. There's, other things, other savings and costs once you purchase it. But the extra cost was approximately $10,000 per vehicle. So at that time, we did not pursue it. But we have had further discussions on what would we need, if perhaps like the parking fleet, and we transition those over into electric. And then what do we need for charging stations, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the problem with Commissioner Finn's is the heavier vehicles are more difficult to hold the charge. So when we've had, I've had conversations with Director of Purchase, Bill Sunderland, on what type of vehicles and what would we need to get this going. So we have started to look into it.
I think, and I
There
know
are some
in
costs
a
and
little while
savings.
we will decide the capital budget. Has there been any thought about building out some of that infrastructure, either in capital or from some of the other stimulus or something, so that we start to build out some type of infrastructure? Because I know if we start to purchase, so I'm just kind of looking and want to keep it right in the forefront.
Yeah, we have had discussion. The parking ramps do have the charging stations now. We put those in a couple years ago. But we would need something at, each location where we
Exactly.
park the vehicles. So, I mean, we have had the discussions, but it hasn't moved past the discussion yet. We're putting together the cost benefit.
And the parking ramp, the charging stations and the parking ramp, are pretty dated now as far as the speed of charging. The technology has really, really changed. So when a person parks now in the ramp, it's almost like dripping gas into a gas vehicle. It's just a really long charge. And I know I talked to Commissioner Helfer about looking at upgrading, because although we install these things, the technology is changing so quickly. So I just want to keep it in the forefront so that every vehicle that we purchase that is a gas vehicle, a short explanation of why we could not purchase an electric vehicle is what that is for. And if you want to approve that or adopt that, I'm okay with not keeping it in your committee, and that way it goes to the administration and we start asking for that information. So I'm really okay adopting that, actually, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions, colleagues? Okay, motion to adopt,
Motion to adopt.
seconded by Councilmember Bowman. Anything else?
Nothing further to discuss. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by Council President Pridgen.